Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to do this video because I just got off the phone with a client and she's going through some stuff. And I realized that so many of you guys are going through this, and I want to talk about bitterness, unforgiveness, kind of all that stuff. And really, I want to talk about what does it look like to really have resent. And I mean, if you are watching this, then chances are you know what it looks like for the most part. But I do think that there are things that we're doing and we're thinking and we're feeling that we don't realize are contributing to like the buildup of just a lot of resent, anger, and bitterness that we're not able to kind of like work through. Then we're going to start talking about really how to work through these experiences, these situations that we have to go through in life, and the circumstances that they put us in that make us feel resent or upset or frustrated, like we lost something or we got cheated out of something. So let's start with like the basics. What is resent? Resent is basically the negative emotions that you are either kind of spewing out onto a person based on how you feel, based on the situation, the circumstances that you've been through, or they're negative emotions that you're feeling regarding something that you've gone through in life. We feel resent when we feel like we have been mistreated, when someone has wronged us, or we feel like life has just kind of not been fair and we've been cheated out of something that we really wanted, and a lot of times that we were like almost close to having. When we start to feel frustration and disappointment, which are all normal things to feel and experience based on what you have just gone through and that you're a human being, and it would almost feel weird if you didn't feel those emotions. What really will hurt you is when you don't understand how to heal from something that you've gone through. When you don't know how to heal, you just end up with all of these feelings and emotions, and they end up getting built up, and that harbors resentment and bitterness. When we feel resent, we are really experiencing like all emotions. We're experiencing anger, we're experiencing frustration, we're experiencing disappointment. We could even possibly dip into sadness and grief, and we probably do for sure, but we tend to stay in more anger than we do sadness. This is really where the stories that play in the mind kind of surround this narrative that you lost something that either you once had, that you lost something that you haven't had, that maybe you were even close to getting, and you really kind of like feel like a victim, like something has happened to me, like why is this happening to me? When you stay in those places for too long, you end up in unforgiveness. You end up in really feeling like life is out to get you and that you are a victim. Now, you're a victim to a situation, but you're not a victim to your circumstance, meaning you always have control on how you rise up or overcome the things that you've gone through in life. And the fact of the matter is, we all go through things in life. We all go through times where it's not fair that we're here, that we didn't want to be here, that this person did something to us and we're upset about it and we don't know how to deal with it. So we all go through these situations. What really determines how healthy you are is going to be how you rise above. How do you deal with how you feel? How do you heal from what it is that you've gone through? How do you turn the situation, I don't want to even say into a positive, because some situations just, they stink, right? Like, but we have to gain something from them. If I'm going to go through something hard, I want to make sure that like I change in the process, that I'm learning something from this, that I'm growing in some way, even though growth is uncomfortable. And the client that I was talking to today, she was literally telling me like, I don't know how I would have learned this lesson had I not gone through this. And I just laughed because you would have never learned a lot of things that you know had you not gone through some really difficult situations. It's not easy to like move on from an experience. Maybe you haven't been able to move on for a real long time. Maybe the narrative and the story that your mind is telling you is that you can't move on, which is really the ego talking. And not feeling like you're able to kind of like move on from this experience has really caused you to kind of even click on this video. So if you're watching this, then chances are you know exactly how you feel. You know that you're angry, you know that you're upset, you know that you're frustrated. You're like, I know all these things. I'm mad about what's happened. I'm angry at this person, and I'm struggling to kind of get past it. So there is a part of you that doesn't want to feel this anymore, and that's good. That means that you've now hit that pain threshold where staying in this place is not serving you anymore. And even if you don't know how to get out of it, you at least have this like opening to wanting information to be able to like let go of the resent and bitterness that you feel. Resent comes with some pretty hard feelings that you have to work through. Resent also, especially when it's towards a person and a situation, it will test you in your ability to overcome from what it is that you've gone through in your life. Or you can continue to stay in that like victim role where you don't feel worthy and confident of yourself to rebuild. There are so many people that get stuck in this place where they really feel like they were wronged and they just can't get past it. You can't stop thinking about the person. They're always talking about the person. They're always reliving the situation over and over again. And they're talking about it as if it just happened yesterday. And that's where you know they're still so emotionally charged with what has happened to them. Now, there are two things. When you're that emotionally charged, you either still have a lot of feelings that you quite frankly haven't dealt with, but a huge part of it, especially over time, is going to be the habit. It has become a habit to harbor resentment towards this person for what it is that they've done to you. Now, when you still have a person in your life and you really have this like bitterness and you harbor this resentment, what ends up happening is you change. You try to avoid them. You are not your normal self around this person. Your character has changed. Your energy has changed. And this person's actually controlling you now. They have control over you, your energy around them, and how you feel. The problem with anger is people really believe it and they feed it and it continues. And so they don't really ever bother to kind of like open up that heart space to figure out why it is they're so angry, why it is that they're so frustrated. And coming to terms with that, they would rather just mask this anger, this frustration, this resentment on a person or situation rather than dealing with how they really feel. So how do they really feel? They really feel sad. They really feel disappointed. They really feel out of control. When you haven't fallen into your heart space to really get in touch with the fact that I feel sad, I feel disappointed, I feel scared that I'm not going to be able to do this, or this may never happen for me here, or, you know, that I got cheated and I lost something and this and that. Those are all valid things to feel based on what you've gone through. 100%. It's just our normal reaction to like first go to those places, to go to anger. But we want to and then of course go to really the heart feeling, the heart space opening and dipping into the sadness and the disappointment that we really feel. Then we don't want to stay stuck there, because if we stay stuck there for too long, then we're going to start to just feel depressed. So how do we really handle resentment? Number one, you got to understand that it's built up frustration that you have. It's built up emotions that you haven't processed. So chances are, if you have built up frustration, you're also going to have things that you haven't really grieved yet. Maybe something turned out the way you didn't think. Maybe someone behaved in a way that you never would have expected. And you need to grieve in order to really heal the feelings that you feel. There's always a story behind the resent and the bitterness that we feel. It's just sometimes people don't want to acknowledge it or really deal with it or come to terms with it. They would rather just sit in the resent and the bitterness because that puts the other person at fault. It puts life at fault and it makes you the victim. What you want to ask yourself is the story that you're creating in your mind about why you're angry or why you're the victim. Is that story actually true? The only way you can really answer that with an honest answer is when you remove your ego. The stories that we create always will make us be the victim because that's what the ego wants us to do, and it'll always make the other person or life or whatever winning, right? The other person's winning and I'm losing. Truth is that everyone suffers. You just can't see it. And I'm not saying that to make yourself feel better, knowing, yes, that person's suffering too, but everyone has something. And so the quicker you can accept that, yes, maybe someone is not suffering in the way that you are right in this very moment, but everyone has their day. People are very good at suppressing and denying and portraying images that everything's fine, but that's not really the case. Everyone has low points. Everyone has moments of self-doubt. Everyone has fears. Everyone has worries. No one is above feeling. No one is above going through this journey and not being a human, because they are. So when you're seeing that someone is not affected or someone has a perfect life or whatever the case may be, those are just the stories that your mind is cultivating. And those are the stories that are keeping you stuck in feeling like you got cheated out of something. No matter how bad you want to believe the story, the truth is the story just isn't true. Try to see that when someone treats you poorly, it's a reflection of them and not of you. And I know we've all heard that, but you have to really understand it, and you have to believe it. You have to really get what it means when someone is not good to you, not nice to you, betrays you, lies to you, cheats on you. You have to be able to see past what has happened to you so you can see the bigger picture. If you're not able to do that, you're always going to stay stuck in the stories that you are a victim. No matter what we go through in life and how someone treats us, there's always a lesson to be learned. And for me personally, I never want to go through anything and not be able to get a takeaway from it, because why go through something if you're not going to gain something from all the work that you're putting in or all the pain that you're going through in order to kind of go through this experience. I know that even at times when I personally can't always see the lesson, I know that there is one there. I just haven't gotten to the place where I can really see it yet through clear eyes, but I do trust the process. So trust the process that life isn't trying to cut you at your knees. Life isn't trying to give you a hand that isn't fair. Life is trying to guide you, and life is trying to actually give you what it is that you wanted. Now, it may not look the way you wanted it to look, but you'll always have everything that you set out to have if you view it in that way. If you stop comparing yourself to other people, if you stop playing a tit for tat game and thinking that you lost, this person won, it's not fair that they did that, and understand that they're going through their own stuff and they're suffering and they're not always happy, and life isn't picture perfect for everyone else but you. That's just not even realistic ways of looking at life and people and situations. We don't want to just always think of the negative and think that everyone's suffering and so am I, so that makes me feel better. But we do want to be realistic to the fact that we're talking about human beings and everyone has something. We've all had moments where we're frustrated, and we might have times in our life where we kind of say, I am tired of being the strong one. I don't want to go through this and have to learn a lesson. I just don't want anything to happen anymore. And I totally understand that, but that's not life. And the more you go through, the more you learn, the more you grow, the more you have good character, and the more you do have inner strength. You may not see right now why it's beneficial for you to be strong and rise up, but you will. Even though I know at times it doesn't seem like it's fair, and I know that it's a lot of work at times to learn the lessons and to see the blessing behind something happening to you that isn't the easiest to go through and wasn't the funnest, but you honestly have two choices. You can either let something or a person kind of take you down and make you feel like you are a victim and you never move on from those experiences and those feelings that you have, or you can rise up. It takes work to change your perspective. It is comfortable to have lived in a place of just resent and bitterness for a very long time. You're capable of that work. You just need a minute. You just need a moment to consciously start doing things differently, and you'll slowly start to have a new perspective. Trust that you will get to a place where you will have let go of the situation. You would have processed how you felt, and you really have moved on from the situation where you don't have that level of anger. But the only way you can do that is by you taking life by your own hands and creating the life that you want to have. The people that have hung on to a lot of unforgiveness, a lot of anger, a lot of bitterness, a lot of resent have been the people that have not felt worthy or confident enough to have the things that they really do want in their life. And they haven't challenged themselves to do something different than what they've done. And so we all have free will. You have the ability to decide, where do you want to go? Do you want to stay here or do you want to go somewhere else? The hardest part is learning how to balance your emotional side and the mental side. So the mental side is you taking action, you saying, this is what it is. I am going to put this aside. I'm going to power through. I'm going to recreate. I'm going to rebuild. I'm going to set goals for myself, and really getting out of your comfort zone to do things differently so you can have the things that you do want in your life, to have peace, to create to have a relationship, to create a new lifestyle, to find job fulfillment, to make more money, whatever it is. And then there's the other side, which are your emotions, which are how you feel, and learning how to process them, and learning how to be gentle with them, and learning how to validate them and not judge them or shame them, learning how to really soothe yourself. So you are healing. And healing means balancing these two things. You have to feel what you need to feel, and you have to be able to process that. But then you also need to be able to move into actually taking action towards doing something different. So thanks guys for joining me this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some insight. Resentment and bitterness, it's not an easy thing to go through. It's not an easy thing to process, but you can do it. You're no different than anyone else. You have to just want to move on from an experience and not have those feelings and those emotions just tied to your ankles for the rest of your life. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you in next week's video.